Another day, another opportunity to glaze my Flourite. What's up, boys? If you have played this game for a decent chunk, I'm not going to say that everyone would be at this point. Most people could have also very well surpassed this point. But we are heading into the area of when we unlock the first 6-star Battle Pass weapon. Now, if you haven't used your Originium to buy the supply yet, what are you doing? But I need to also tell you, if you haven't, because you are concerned, it is a free 6-star weapon with an asterisk next to it, and that catch-22 being you need to complete it. You need to hit level 50, otherwise this kind of loses its potential. Okay? Let's just quickly go through it by what I mean by that. So this costs 29 origeometries, whatever you want to call them, all that kind of stuff. But you get 32 back, providing you finish the 50th tier. So that means everything else you see here, you get for free. Filters, rewards, XP mats, farming mats, credits, sanity refills, everything is free, providing you finish 50. The reason it is 50 being the breaking point is because you get 7 back at 50, alright? The paid tier, we didn't talk about the paid tier. There's no real reason to. If you're spending the money, you're spending the money. You're not trying to min-max everything, right? But you will genuinely be, not to be that guy to say you brick your account, don't make this mistake. But you are genuinely making a mistake if you are not hitting this. Level 60 is not hard to actually hit. It's just going to be a case of making sure you do your weeklies and keeping on top of your daily logins. Because when you do your dailies as well, you get extra XP. I'm not here to explain to you why this is a thing. I'm here to explain to you that most people more or less are going to start approaching this level 40 weapon supply, which once I redeem right now, I also have done. Alright? So this one right here. Also got a bunch of credits too, which is very nice. But most people don't want to make mistakes on their account. So I'm here to explain to you which one of the 3 weapons are probably going to be your best pick for your use case scenario. I want to quickly say right now, they're all valid picks. You won't go wrong picking any of the 3, except for one. There's a big thing you must know about one of them. And I just want to kind of lead you down the right path, alright? So if you do like this video, please by all means like, comment, and subscribe. If not, you do you. I understand entirely. And thank you for the support recently. Enfield's been an absolute blast. And yeah, the support has been very heartwarming. God, I love making content. But let me explain to you what the best options are. And if you have any questions, by all means, put them in the comments below. Join Discord in the description as well, or catch me on a live over on Twitch. Twitch.tv/maximum also in the description, if you want to ask questions there. Alright, so the 3 that you get from this level 40 unlock. Umbreal Torch, which is mainly a heat-based, fire-based weapon. The other one being Opus Edge Figure, which is nature. If you understand anything about this game, you understand this one's probably the most interesting pick. Not going to say bad, just going to say interesting. And the final one, Navigator. Navigator is a cryo-based gunslinger, which, if you guys are aware, there is one coming up soon if you haven't hit the crazy RNG and gotten her early. Alright, now let me get the first one out of the way that I think is probably the least user-friendly one. That's going to be Opus Edge Figure. It is going to be the casting one, the arts-based unit weapon. And that is because it is nature infliction based. Alright, let me quickly just show you the amount of nature characters in the game. There's only 3. There are only 3. One of them is the only one who can use it outside of Ardelia. But you have to understand, with Ardelia, we actually get her weapon entirely for free as well, just by logging in for 10 days straight, as you can see right here. We get her weapon, and we also get her, right? So it doesn't make sense to put this on an Ardelia if you already have the 10-day login, because it's very overkill if you want to try and mix it up and use it differently. So that then leaves this weapon to one more character, and only one. And that character is Gilberta. Now, this would work very, very good on Gilberta, but you have to keep in mind, she is still, give or take, 3 to 4 weeks away. And there already is an amplifier nature 6-star with a 6-star weapon in your account already. That being said though, Gilberta is genuinely insane, okay? She for me would trump Ardelia in terms of amplification and buffing use case, as well as CC and all those kind of things. However, Ardelia, her healing is just so good, so you have to decide which one favors you more. Now let me quickly give you the synopsis of this weapon. This weapon off rip, and by the way, these stats are at level 90, let me move my fat head. These stats off rip You get massive will boost, let's just say without essences for now. 52 will boost, you get 14 nature damage dealt, and you also get suppression to light etchings. For those who are curious, yes, Gilberta's main stat is will, so this would work very well for her. It is more or less actually made for her, but use cases, Ardelia, sure, it may have some viability. But what it does is it gives you a 40% attack buff, and when the wielder's battle skill applies nature infliction, other operators in the team gain arts damage dealt plus 10% for 15 seconds. For every enemy suffering from nature infliction applied by the said battle skill, other operators in the team gain bonus arts damage dealt 4% up to a max of 12%. The same effects do not stack. Alright, so you can get up to a 12% boost here, and you can get up to a 10% arts damage boost here as well when you rip arts infliction. Now, to loop back to the reason this only works on Angelina, on Ardelia, when you look at her battle skill, because bear in mind, this does say battle skill applies nature infliction, not just nature infliction in general. Ardelia herself, also being intellect main stat, will second, not will first, doesn't actually get nature infliction on her battle skill. It's not a thing that is viable to her. Okay, you could use it for base stats, sure, but in terms of actual full feasibility, it is very limited, and you also get Ardelia 6-star. Anyways, this is an Angelina-only weapon, and I really want everyone to know that, because anyone else that this could potentially apply to is not exactly in the game yet. We don't know if they exist. There hasn't been any leaks from everything. I could tell, not that I look at leaks anyway, Griffland, please don't sue me. There just isn't. There's just nothing as it stands right now that could be really applicable to anyone else other than Angelina. I'm calling it Angelina. People who have never played the first game, Angelina is Gilberta. Sorry, I am insane. But there just isn't anyone to really use this other than that one character, Gilberta. As good as I think Ardelia is, she already gets best in slot everything from just signing into the game. Whereas with Gilberta, this would apply and be awesome. So I will tell you right now, only get this weapon if you are getting or already have a Gilberta. When you get the free-to-play slot variants for arts, they don't really stack up to Opus Edge Figure at all for her use case, okay? Now, that is my rant done for this one in particular. Going on to the next one, we have Umbreal Torch. Umbreal Torch is probably, in my opinion, the most versatile weapon in the three options that we do get here. And it gives you intellect main stat buff, gives you heat damage dealt buff just natively, and attack buff, and then whenever combustion or corrosion is applied to an enemy, the wielder gains heat and nature damage dealt 16% for 20 seconds. Okay? When you do max essences, this obviously spikes to 22, 19, a lot more numbers, a lot more damage, a lot more happy. But this is what most people are going to run until their run game really gets set up. Now, Umbreal Torch is a banger for two main characters. Intellect being the main stat. Akakuri has intellect as a sub-main stat, second stat option, so she'd be really good for it. My god, why is mine so goddamn high? And then Sutra's main stat is actually intellect itself, alright? So if you didn't have Sutra's main best in slot weapon, it would work amazing for her. These two are probably the best picks as of right now in 1.0. But heat being the way it is in gacha in general, and fire and everything of the like, there are going to be plenty other options in the future. One thing I do also want to mention, this also says or corrosion, okay? So nature can kind of be played with in the team as well. As it stands, there's no one in nature, so you can't really even use nature on a nature weapon. There's no nature swordsman in the game right now, so this doesn't really work in that side of things. But corrosion in general, from what I can tell. From everything it tells us, this is not specific to only the wielder. The wielder gets a heat and nature damage bonus, but they don't have to be part of the corrosion proc, right? You could have nature on them first from someone like a Flourite, for example, and then you could proc skill from either Akakuri or Sutra after that, get corrosion hits, get combustion hits, it will give you these buffs anyway. If you want the most play it safe, don't think about a pick from these weapons, I would recommend the Umbreal Torch. It is probably the best and the most versatile as the game goes on, with nature being as lacking as it is. There are only going to be more units. I would probably bet a significant amount of money one of the two newest characters coming out after 1.0 is over and we get 1.1 will be nature, maybe even nature swordsman. It is the smallest class right now. Like seriously, I don't know why they thought 3 on release was fine, but I digress. That's a whole different conversation for another day. But in terms of current build Arknights Endfield, this weapon is amazing, and in terms of future Arknights Endfield, it's only going to be better as well. Not to mention, if you just run Sutra and everything, you just beat the game. That's just Arknights' 10 commandments, you know. Number 1, thy my use Sutra, clear all content. It's just how Arknights is, but jokes aside, it would be an amazing pick for these two characters. You run a Flourite in a team. You would also have a cause for a use case here because it also hits corrosion effects as well. And all around, it's be a really, really solid pick. Now, the final pick, I want to mention and preface really quick, this final option we have here is most likely going to be the option I actually go with, alright? So the main option here, Navigator, it is a very limited use case in as it stands right now. There is only one gunslinger with cryo, and gunslinger in general is a very limited class. If I was to show you really quick just here on Pridewin, we have 3 gunslingers, isn't going to apply to them whatsoever. And again, yeah, nature's super limited, not that that matters. There are so many nature characters, so we probably won't be getting a cryo, essentially Yvonne Light for a fair while. This is again going to be an option for the same reason you'd pick Opus. For Gilberta, you'd pick this if you want to get a Yvonne and you don't have a weapon guaranteed, or if you want to save your Arsenal tickets for something more universal or future character best in slow weapons. Now, what does it give you? It gives you intellect, main stat, which if we go to Yvonne, surprise, surprise, main stat, intellect, as you'd expect. Gives you cryo damage dealt, which she is cryo, and it gives you native crit rate buff here. So when solidification or corrosion are applied to enemies, solidification is just infliction of another element and then hitting cryo, that's solidification. Solidification hits bang, and that triggers that. Same with corrosion too. One thing you're probably noticing is there is, for all of these weapons, it is nature based. There are nature references to be had here for all teams. What that tells me in my insane crackpot head theory is there's probably going to be them in the future, and they are planning that because it is the most dire situational element. They're probably going to be adding more in the future. And not by, when I say probably, I mean they know they are. They are doing it particularly within the first 2 patches, if I had to guess. And it all around is going to become more and more universal, which ergo, the 2 picks of Opus and Navigator will only get better. This also has nature on it, so this already is goated, but it is more catered towards combustion. I digress. It is something to definitely keep in mind that going forward, if you want nature in general, maybe go Opus and just sit on it, understanding that Gilberta is probably the only user for it right now, and wait for when the right characters come out. Or if you want to be safe, you pick the sword. But in terms of the Navigator, it also gives cryo damage, nature damage dealt 9.8%, and critical rate 5.6% for 15 seconds. This effect is triggered by the wielder, double the increase gained. So bear that in mind. If Yvonne, for example, in this situation, is the one hitting the combo triggering solidification, these go up from 9.8% and 5.6% to just under 20% for damage and just under 12% for crit rate gained. So during this 15 seconds of when these double if Yvonne hits solidification, which by the way she will, given how her skill works, you'll be on more or less about 20% crit rate buff for 15 seconds when things are hitting. Also cryo damage dealt, and all being 43% naturally, as well as you get the buff of it being sub 20 as well. Not that it would be 60%, but it'd be 20, a bit closer to like 50, 55-ish maybe. All around would just make your DPS character go insane. You could pull Yvonne as a main DPS slotted character using a weapon like this, and going forward, just with the fact that everything caters towards nature, they definitely know that this will also be a feature in the future. Now, would I say you would use this on nature characters? That would be a hard no when we do get them, just because the cryo damage boost doesn't make much sense. The second stat you get with cryo damage, you kind of lose that out if you are using a other character. Sure, there are ways to navigate it with skills, battle skills, stuff like that, but there's much more optimization required to get that done. I would just steer clear. But as someone who will be going for Yvonne, this will be the weapon I pick. I just need to see how lucky I get and if I need to use it because I missed out on a weapon or not. Alright, so that explains the 3. If you want the quick TLDR, just to recap what we've spoken about here, the Opus currently only works on Gilberta, and I would not recommend it for any character else just because of the raw limitation of what stats you miss out on everywhere, because it is so nature goddamn oriented. Umbreal Torch is just probably the safest pick. Everyone's going to have a lot of people using the first banner for Sutra are going to have Sutra, aka Leviathan. Everyone's going to have a use case for a character to really get around and actually deal with Umbreal Torch and use it very, very effectively. Okay? And then the wildcard pick for me would be Navigator. You pick this if your luck is terrible, pulling for an Yvonne, or if you want to make some weird Twisted Fate meme build with a Flourite, which Sure, there is trigger for corrosion to give you higher hit rate and higher nature damage dealt, but you miss out on the second stat here. I just don't know how much it is worth it. Especially for a psycho like me, who on a 6-star redeem, I just picked Wedge because she is my main DPS. There's no reason for someone like me to get that. Not to say that you can't, there are many better options in that 5-star slots to arsenal ticket weapons, where, for example, you could use Opus the Living, the 5-star weapons here. You can buy them from the arsenal for about 400. Let me just fact check that real quick. Yep, 400. And if you're using it for a Flourite, don't go overkill and just destroy your account. Getting the 6-star from the battle pass, that seems a little bit wasteful. And if for some reason you're not picking all three, it means you haven't bought the Originium supply because you don't back yourself to complete the battle pass. Shame on you. You need to grind more, and the factory must always grow. But I hope with what I explained there with these weapons did kind of give you a quick insight to what is the best options here for you, because they are all very valid picks. There isn't one tried and true S tier weapon here. They are all amazing in their own rights depending on the characters you are using. When the game gets further in, and when we get more characters, maybe it might shift towards some being better picked than other just from a level of versatility they have. But we're in 1.0 right now. We don't have endgame, so try not to stress about it too much. All right, and that's really going to be it for today. I just want to say thank you guys again so much for watching. I can't stress enough, please actually just grind the game, get this stuff for free. It's not going to be really that hard to get your return on investment, because 29 or 26, whatever it was, origeonometries, they're pretty easy to get, and worst case scenario, you miss out on 8 of them, but you get the amount of mats and returns. It's, if you want to cope, a break even. But still, you will actually finish it. Don't freak out, please. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know what you actually ultimately go with, because I want to see how many people called Sutra. And yeah, if you got to do Alberta early and you're using Opus Edge Figure on her, I hate you, but congratulations. I am definitely not jealous and sour at all. So thank you guys so much for watching. Again, like the video if you enjoyed. If you dislike it, I'm sure you had a real good reason to. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye now.